Carly, you spoke of the brain drain in your presentation. You talked about, you know, shooting off elsewhere, and I guess it's a bit of a thing, isn't it, for WA? You go to Melbourne or you go to London or whatever, anywhere but here. And I feel like that's not as bad as it used to be, but it does still happen. So maybe just to throw to each of you, the economy's kind of going into reverse. The construction phase, the mining boom is over. We're still probably a net importer of engineers and a net exporter of creative people to other parts of the world. What do we do about that? And what's your, you know, let's just be a bit big picture, what's your kind of vision for how this place would look with a more diverse economy, with the kind of work that you guys are doing? Do you want to kick off?
I think we need for state and national government to believe that creativity has economic benefit, which I don't actually believe in Australia we're well represented.
How many tonnes of it do you export, Carly?
Yeah, well, but I guess what I'm saying is that we don't invest. We don't invest at a local level, at a state level, and at a national level, and we don't acknowledge that there is real potential for it to contribute. There's a few stats around from a retail perspective as to how good design actually affects sales, as an example. So if you think about also the branding of places that you mentioned before, I mean, Melbourne has a very clear identity, London's got a clear identity. You know, we need to have a clearer identity, I guess, with design as a thing. So,
Brodie?
Yeah, so I think it was probably 18 months ago when people asked me, you know, when's everyone going to get on board with this sort of stuff, and, you know, supporting entrepreneurs supporting creatives. I said it would be when it hit $50 a tonne. That's when people would get on board. Yeah. But we've hit that, and still I think there's going to be a lag in that happening. But we are seeing a lot of people moving back to Perth through SpaceCube. We have a lot of people who have moved back purely because they can work anywhere in the world, and they're choosing to move back to Perth because, you know, we've got great environment. Prices are starting to drop now. So I think we'll see that flow through over the next 3 years. I think there'll be more sort of innovation and creativity in the next 3 years than there probably has been in the last 15 years in Australia. And that's going to be forced by external market conditions. I guess the sort of sad thing is that it's taken external forces to force that change rather than us deciding on our own that we're going to actually actively pursue that and pursue different industries and pursue creativity in a different ways of doing things. But I guess, you know, one way or another, we're forced to change, and I think that'll happen really quickly over the next 2 to 3 years.
How about you, mate? You're kind of on the front line on this stuff in a way.
Yeah, I do face those challenges working with government, and I find it's a real explainer in what the creative sector is. I think there's a misunderstanding within government at times at certain levels that it's merely the arts, or, you know, where's the real value add? But I think if you include that innovation space, creative startup space in the same sentence, it starts to really heighten that commercial creativity realm. And I think when you look globally about connecting smaller businesses working globally, locally, it provides that opportunity for partnerships and I guess incentive for people to work in that space.
But is it overcooking it to suggest that we might be seeing a new kind of economics emerging?
Yeah.
That's overdoing it, or do you think that's actually what we're seeing?
Well, I think it's almost a make what you need philosophy.
Yeah.
To me, it's about, you know, this is what I aim, this is my basic needs for my existence where I live, and this is what I need to earn, and this is where I want to find the balance. And I think that as a mindset, you know, I find I live in a regional area where my cost of living might be higher, but my income's lower. How do I adapt to make that fit my lifestyle, if you like? And I think that's just, I guess, a challenge at the same time as an opportunity, I think.
Yeah. So we are regrettably a little short of time. So each of you, in a way, shared some stuff that was quite personal, as well as sketching that picture of your work. So if we, I couldn't quite read the slide. Did you call it a slumni? Was that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. So let's go there. If we invite each of you three back in 10 years' time, just for the sake of argument, what do you want to tell us? What do you want to be presenting? Where do you want to go?
Can someone else start?
I think we're forced to make some changes in the next few years, but I think there'll be big changes around, or looking back from 10 years' time, it'll be around, we've managed to change our education system. We've managed to change what's important in our society so that it has provided the opportunities in the environment to create new industries. And, we've got the square kilometre array being built in Western Australia over the next 10 to 20 years. There's huge opportunities around data. We've already got really strong industries. But how do we take what those industries are doing and take that to the next level around automation? And so I think we'll, in 10 years, look back and say that we actually acted on those industries and those opportunities, acted on our position in the world, so close to Asia and in the same time zone as China, and took advantage of a lot of good luck that we are placed where we are, and actually had a go of it and reinvented where we are now.
Yeah, brilliant. You ready?
Yeah, I think so. The time zone thing is actually really important. Perth's connected via time zone to 60% of the world's population. So, in effect, we're actually more connected than Sydney and Melbourne and the East Coast. And I think that provides a really fantastic opportunity. So, from my perspective as an open house, I guess, representative here today, our dream's really for Perth to be an international design destination. So I'd love to be talking about how there's increased tourism because people want to visit the city because it's a fantastic, vibrant city that people can really enjoy at a ground level, from everything from the landscape to the master planning and the individual pieces of architecture and interior design, and that it's more sustainable as well.
That sounds like somewhere I want to live. Go on, do it. We're getting the stop warning sign. I just want to give Matt the last word. 10 years?
I think exactly what you've covered, in the sense that opportunity where an organisation has approached me to set up in Perth to take advantage of the time zone. I say, well, you don't need to build a big office space in Perth. Why don't you put your key staff in Space Cube and you can have a hot desk in Margaret River when you need it.
I think I'd sign up to that.
And they're sort of things that if we can create those pathways with entrepreneurship, education and those transformational changes, I think, it's for those in that space, they're going to have a great 10 years.
Brilliant. So these three folk who are doing great things and appear to be having an enormous amount of fun doing it, please show your appreciation for them.